You've tried, as a federal prosecutor, you said you've tried all sorts of cases, from gang crimes to fraud, corruption, all of this. But in this, and you, of course, obstruction cases as well. And in this case, the Supreme Court did raise the bar for bringing obstruction charges against a defendant. But you also have said that potentially that's a good thing.
Well, I think what they did here, at the bottom, what they did here really is parse this statute in a way that highlights the fact that obstruction crimes for which Congress, imposed lesser penalties than the 20-year maximum that is available under 1512C, that conduct could get swept into 1512C in a way that Congress simply did not intend. That really is the essence of this holding. That's a pretty rational decision. You can't really quarrel that it's a dramatic result or a radical result. It is a restriction, but it's also the way the separations of powers work, which is, Congress, didn't appear to intend, and they certainly didn't make it clear that they intended in the drafting, which was awkward. Anytime you're interpreting an otherwise clause, which is what this case was about, you have to go through multiple arcane statutory steps. And all the court really said is here, Congress didn't really signal that they have the view that the government is espousing. Now, Congress could revisit this and change the law and adopt that. They're free to do so. The court didn't do anything that restricts that. They just said, what this says is not what the government, intends.
So this may or may not have an impact on former President Trump's case, but he did appeal on the issue.
Oh, yeah.
He is immune from all of this to begin with. What are your thoughts? Monday, the court has said, it's interesting that they chose a Monday, first day of the work week, to issue one of their biggest opinions, probably the biggest, as to whether he would be immune. Now, lower courts have rejected his request to be shielded. What are your thoughts on whether the Supreme Court will split the baby here?
So preliminarily, I don't think the court chose Monday, for any reason other than the fact that it's been working at a furious pace. It had a lot of work to do this month. And this was the last case, I think, argued that's going to be decided this term. So the fact that it's the last case announced, that's not I don't think that's a, decision or a strategy by the court. I think that's just sort of the way it happened. But it's not surprising that it's going to be one of the last opinions announced. And I think the result, which will be dramatized in a way that will be overstated, just like the Chevron and the obstruction cases. But it, to the shock of many people who have been condemning the court for taking the case, this case is not going to help the president at all. They're going to draw a line. That line is going to encompass and include within its capabilities for prosecution virtually all the conduct that's alleged in both the federal indictments against the president. It may require some line drawing. I mean, it does require some line drawing, which is the only reason they took the case. Had the D.C. Circuit drawn that line, which they did not, to the frustration of the Supreme Court, they perhaps would have accepted the D.C. Circuit opinion. But the D.C. Circuit didn't give any guidance to a trial judge in fashioning jury instructions about how does the jury decide whether this conduct is covered. And that's what's going to come out of this opinion. They're going to say, this is the line. It may be as simple as official acts and personal acts. And keep in mind that, Justice Coney Barrett, during oral argument, got Trump's lawyer to concede that virtually all the conduct in the January 6th indictment is covered as would be prosecutable as personal acts. So I don't think this is going to favor Trump at all. I think this will be a bad decision for him. I think it will be consequential and certainly allow him to be prosecuted. I think the problem here is because of the timing. Trump has been a great beneficiary. I think that people can blame the court, but the real delay here was the January 6th committee's refusal for 8 months to share transcripts and depositions of the key witnesses in this case against the president. And the Justice Department had no ability to proceed during that period. The 6 months from start to finish, from district court to circuit court to the Supreme Court, that's electrically fast.